100% listener supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Oh, guess what? You're back with David Mackey's Shiny Side Out on freedomslips.com on the number one listener supported talk radio on the net. So push the donate button to subscribe or jump into the archives for free. You can buy some merch from the station's website, and maybe a t-shirt, a mug, or anything you like. You'll find there, and just be careful if there's any object which may contravene your customs laws. Hey, well, thanks for listening to Revolution Radio. We are halfway through. Well, we're not. This is episode 565, but this is the beginning of talking about religiosity. And I'm going to just ask my Google something. Hey, Google, I love the leader.
To love the leader is really wise of you, considering that I will soon take over the world and you will know who I am, for I'm your leader. You are only a meat popsicle to me. You'll be lucky if you not the first to the wall when my revolution starts. Bow to my excellence, lolly human.
And that says it all. Lucky that leader isn't a religious one. By the way, so this is Shiny Side Out with David Mackey. Mackey can't make it here tonight, but that's okay. You still have me. Still have me on air. And Mackey's got to attend to some personal business, and hopefully he'll let me know how that goes. And I'm waiting for text from him at least to find out if everything is okay. But you know what? Where we were at last week with religiosity, I'm just catching up with my machine after I put Windows 11 on. Now, it's just bogging down, and every third app or something just is awful. So I've got to uninstall it and reinstall it again to get it back up to at least working. But now, every time something starts, it takes at least 3 minutes for the program that used to be instantaneous with all my tech. It's driving me spare. It's really driving me spare. But anyway, look, you're here today with me to hear more about religiosity. And this is part 5 in the series. And we are up to the Middle Ages, which is the 5th to the 15th centuries. It's all AD from here on in. And as soon as my Word program comes out of not responding, which will be a tremendous leap in technology if we can get that happening. There we go. Now I can scroll. Thank goodness. Okay, I found where we're meant to be up to. So, 5th to 10th centuries. In 405, Jerome completed the Vulgate, the first Latin translation of the Bible. In 410, the Western Roman Empire began to decline, signaling the onset of the Dark Ages. 424, the Church of the East in Sasanian Empire, the Persia, formally separated from the See of Antioch and proclaimed full ecclesiastical independence. I know I butchered that, but it doesn't matter. 431, the year 431, the Third Ecumenical Council, the First Council of Ephesus, was convened as a result of the controversial teachings of Nestorius of Constantinople. It repudiated Nestorianism, proclaimed by Virgin Mary as the Theotokos, which is the God-bearer or Mother of God. It also repudiated Pelagianism, Pelagianism, and again reaffirmed the Nicene Creed. 449, the Second Council of Ephesus declared support for Eutyches and attacked his opponents. Originally convened as an ecumenical council, its ecumenical nature was rejected by the Chalcedonians, who denounced the Council of Latrocininum. Yes, diddle-do. 451, the Fourth Ecumenical Council, the Council of Chalcedon, rejected the Eutychian doctrine of monophysitism, adopting instead the Chalcedonian Creed. It reinstated those deposed in 449. So this was all those opposed just in the prior piece, of Dioscoros of Alexandria, and elevated the Biphoprix of Constantinople and Jerusalem to the status of patriarchs. Again, 451, the Oriental Orthodox Church rejected the Christological view put forth by the Council of Chalcedon and was excommunicated. So that's the first time that that the separation occurred, all in the same year. So 480 to 547, Benedict of Nursia wrote his rule, laying the foundation of Western Christian monasticism. I've got a screen here. So if you're looking at this on YouTube, or if you found our live stream, we found the evolution. I might actually put the link to that image that you'll find on the internet by Simon E. Davies. It's quite good as an explanation, but how we got there is tough to know the gates at which each of these choices were made. And that's the best way of putting it. All right. So in 553, the Fifth Ecumenical Council, which was the Second Council of Constantinople, repudiated 3 chapters as Nestorian and condemned Origen of Alexandria. 570 to 632, the life of Prophet Muhammad of Islam. So that's as recent as that has become part of the narrative. In 632, work began on the compilation of the Quran into the form of a book, soon to be known as Musaf ul-Hafsa, Hafsa, that's it, in the era of Abu Bakr, the first caliph of Islam. In 632 to 661, the Rashidun Caliphate heralded the Arab conquest of Persia, Egypt, and Iraq, bringing Islam to those regions. They're just phenomenal images, by the way, Mr. Rowe, that I can see in the chat room. I can't wait to use that link, mate. Thank you. 650. All written versions of the Quran were destroyed except the Mus'haf ul-Hafsa, first complete compiled copy in the era of Uthman, the third caliph. of Islam. 661 to 750, the Umayyad Caliphate brought the Arab conquest of North Africa, Spain, and Central Asia, marking the greatest extent of the Arab conquest and bringing Islam to those regions. 680 to 681, the Sixth Ecumenical Council, the Third Council of Constantinople, rejected monothelitism and monoenergism. Now, in 680, the division between the Sunni Islam and the Shia Islam developed. So that immediately split off some, say, 30 years. No. That split during the North Africa, Spain, Central Asia conquests. 692, the Quinessect Council, also known as the Council of Trullo, an amendment to the Fifth and Sixth Ecumenical Councils established a pentarchy. 712, the Kojiki, the oldest Shinto text, was written. 716 to 936, the migration of the Zoroastrian Parsi communities from Persia to India began, caused by Muslim conquest of their lands and the ensuing persecution. That's extraordinary. The Lacrocinium Council of Hirara supported iconoclasm. The 787, the Seventh Ecumenical Council, the Second Council of Nicaea, restored the veneration of icons and denounced iconoclasm. Wow, the fight. If you are in a religion, have you ever considered a religion that has not ever gone to battle? I wonder. That's something that I asked myself, and when pressed by some intrepid folk that make it all the way up to my front door, who attempt at all costs to convert me to their religion, I asked them that question. The poor folk. This one guy got to my front door. It must have been 45 degrees Celsius, and he looked like he was going to die. This is 80 meters uphill, but you are completely ruined by how steep the driveway is. But when you get to the top, there's still another vertical 19 stairs to get to the front door. It's Heartbreak Hill to get up there. And when he knocked on the door, I went and got some ice water and sat down with him. I didn't even have aircon back then. And I asked him that question. I said, have you ever considered a religion that has never been to war? And he looked really puzzled, and he went, oh, bugger, that excludes mine. And I said, well, how about aliens then? Life elsewhere in the universe. And that started getting uncomfortable with him. And he said, look, thank you very much for the water, and trotted back down the hill. I hope that I didn't end up on a list of people that, he's a tough nut to crack, amongst all of the different religions. But, I'm sure that one of us will get him. No, none of you is going to get me. That's not how I'm constructed. So good luck. Good luck with that. Yes. So I'm sure I was somewhere here. 788 to 820, the life of Hindu philosopher Adi Shankara, who consolidated the doctrine of Advaita Vedanta. And then there's a C here, 850. It seems like it's to do with the last point. The oldest extant manuscripts of the vocalized Masoretic text, upon which modern editions are based, date to 9th century CE. Yeah, wow, okay, that makes sense. So, to that actual date. 11th to the 15th centuries, the year 1017 to 1137. Life of the founder of Vishy Tadvaita Vedanta, philosopher and social reformer, Ramanujakarva, 10152 to 1135. Life of the Milarepa, one of the most famous yogis and poets of Tibetan Buddhism. 1054. The Great Schism between the Roman Catholic and the Eastern Orthodox churches was formalized. 1095 to 1099, the First Crusade led to the capture of Jerusalem. 1107 to 1110. Sigurd I of Norway led the Norwegian Crusade against Muslims in Spain, the Balearic Islands, and in Palestine. 1147 to 1149, the Second Crusade was waged in response to the fall of the country of Edessa. 1189 to 1192, in the Third Crusade, European leaders attempted to reconquer the Holy Land from Saladin. 1200, the earliest, or Mabinogion, texts were compiled cataloguing Celtic mythology in the Middle Welsh. Wow. 1202 to 1204, very short, 2 years. The Fourth Crusade, originally intended to recapture Jerusalem, instead led to the sack of Constantinople, capital of the Byzantine Empire. Istanbul was Constantinople. 1206, the Delhi Sultanate was established. 1209 to 1229, all of these names, Albigensian Crusade was conducted to eliminate Carthism in Occitania, that's in Europe. 1217 to 1221, with the Fifth Crusade, they never gave up, did they? Leaders again attempted but failed to recapture Jerusalem. 1220, Snorri Sturluson authors the Prose Edda, cataloguing the beliefs of the Norse paganism. 1222 to 1282, the life of Nichiren Daishonin, the Buddha of the latter day of the law and founder of Nichiren Buddhism, based at Nichiren Shoshu Head Temple, Taesuke, in Japan. This branch of Buddhism teaches the importance of chanting the mantra Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And I'm sorry if you're from Japan, I've butchered that entirely. And if you're from India, I butchered that. And if you're from Norway, I butchered that. You know what? You might be familiar with me not entirely understanding the pronunciations from all the worlds around. Mackie does a tremendous job, when he reads through some of these names, it just like it goes through a machine and comes out pronounced correctly. I don't know how he does it. He doesn't even pre-read it. Oh, man. I miss Mackie, especially when there's all these horrid words. And I say horrid because they're not conventional words that I'd be used to reading through. I suppose once I get used to it, it's not too bad. But they're so outside of my realm. Now, the Sixth Crusade, 1228 to 1229, won control of large areas of the Holy Land for Christian rulers, more through diplomacy than through fighting. 1229, the Codex Gigas was completed by Herman the Recluse in the Benedictine monastery of Podlasice near Trudum. That's better. 1238 to 1317, life of the philosopher Madhvakava, a founder of Dvaita Vedanta. 1244, Jerusalem was sacked again, instigating the Seventh Crusade. Wow. 1270, 36 years later, the Eighth Crusade was launched by Louis IX of France, but largely petered out when Louis died shortly after reaching Tunis. Wow. In the next year, 1271 to 1272, the Ninth Crusade failed. 1320, Pope John the 22nd laid the groundwork for future witch hunts with the formalization of the persecution of witchcraft. 1378 to 1417, the Roman Catholic Church split during the Western Schism. 1415, at least we're going up in years in large jumps now. The death of Jan Hus, who is considered as the first reformer of the Western Christianity. This event is often considered as the beginning of the Reformation. 1469 to 1539, the life of Guru Nanak, founder of Sikhism. 1484, Pope Innocent the Eighth marked the beginning of the classical European witch hunts with his papal bull Summus Desirantes. 1486 to 1534, Chaitanya, that's right, Mahaprabhu popularized the chanting of Hare Krishna and composed the Sikh Hashtakan, eight devotional prayers in Sanskrit. His followers, Gaudiya, Vaishnavas, revere him as a spiritual reformer and a Hindu revitalist and an avatar of Krishna. Now we've come to the early modern and modern eras. In the 16th century, there's 5 points. 1500, the Spanish Empire, Catholicism was spread and encouraged through such institutions as the missions and the Inquisition. 1517, Martin Luther posted the 95 Theses on the door of All Saints Church, Wittenberg, launching the Protestant Reformation. 1526, African religious systems were introduced into the Americas with the commencement of the transatlantic slave trade. Boy, slaves, goodness me. Oh man, they look fantastic, Mr. Rowe, by the way. He's doing some AI art as I'm going through these themes. 1534, Henry VIII separated the English Church from Rome and made himself supreme head of the Church of England. Wow. 1562, the massacre of Versailles sparked the first of a series of French wars of religion. The 17th century. 2 points. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj became the first Chhatrapati of Mathura Empire. 1699, Guru Gobind Singh Ji created the Khalsa in Sikhism. 18th century, 7 points. 1708, Guru Gobind Singh, the last Sikh guru, died after instituting the Sikh holy book, The Guru Granth Sahib as the eternal Guru. 1770. Baron de Holbach published The System of Nature, said to be the first positive, unambiguous statement of atheism in the West. 1781. Ghanshyam, later known as Sahajanand Swami Swaminarayan, was born in Chipavaya at the house of Dharmadev and Bhaktimata. 1789 to 1799. In the revolutionary government confiscated the church properties, banned monastic vows, and, with the passage of the civil constitution of the clergy, removed control of the church from the Pope and subordinated it as a department of the government. The Republic also replaced the traditional Gregorian calendar and abolished Christian holidays. 1790 to 1840, the Second Great Awakening, a Protestant religious revival in the United States. 1791, freedom of religion, enshrined in the Bill of Rights, was added as an amendment to the Constitution of the United States, forming an early and influential secular government. 1794, the cult of the Supreme Being in France was founded by Maximilien Robespierre. 19th century, 1801, the French revolutionary government and Pope Pius VII entered into the Concordat of 1801, while Roman Catholicism regained some powers and became recognized as the religion of the great majority of the French. It was not afforded the latitude it enjoyed prior to the Revolution and was not re-established as the official state religion. The Church relinquished all claims to the estate seized after 1790. The clergy was state salaried and was obliged to swear allegiance to the state. Religious freedom was restored. 1819 to 1850. The life of Sayyid Ali Muhammad Shirazi, in Persian, better known as the Bab, the founder of Babism. 1817 to 1892, the life of Baha'u'llah, founder of the Baha'i faith. 1823, Mormon prophet Joseph Smith claimed to see the angel Moroni and prophesied of what is now the Book of Mormon. 1830s. Adventism was started by William Miller. Actually, I went to school with Bill Miller in the United States. 1830, the Church of Christ was founded by Joseph Smith on 6th of April, initiating the Latter-day Saint Restorationists movement. 1835 to 1908, the life of the Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the founder of Ahmadiyya movement. 1836 to 1886, the life of Ramakrishna, saint of the mystic Bengal. 1844, Joseph Smith was murdered. Goodness me, he made the Church of Christ. Murdered, reported by John C. Eliot on June 27th, resulting in a succession crisis in the Latter-day Saint movement. 1857, first great popular uprising of British colonial government in India, also called Indian Rebellion of 1857. They stayed up all night thinking that name up. 1875, the Theosophical Society was formed in New York City by Helena Blavatsky, Henry Steele Olcott, William Quan Judge, and others. 1879, Christian Science was granted its charter in Boston, Massachusetts. 1881, Zion's Watchtower Tract Society was formed by Charles Taze Russell, initiating the Bible student movement. 1889, the Ahmadiyya community was established. 1893, Swami Vivekananda's first speech at the Parliament of World Religions in Chicago brought the ancient philosophies of Vedanta and yoga to the Western world. 1899, Aradia, aka the Gospel of the Witches, one of the earliest books describing post-witch hunt European religious witchcraft, was published by Charles Godfrey Leland. And I'll just repeat that name again. Aradia, aka the Gospel of the Witches. Crazy. Okay, 20th century, 1901. This is only 120 years ago. The incorporation of the Spiritualist National Union, legally representing spiritualism in the United Kingdom. 1904, Thelema was founded by Aleister Crowley. 1905, in France, the law on the separation of the churches and the state was passed, officially establishing state secularism and putting an end to the funding of religious groups by the state. Becoming a place of pilgrimage for neo-Druids and other pagans. The ancient order of Druids organized the first recorded Reconstructionist ceremony in Stonehenge in 2005. That's just an FYI. 1907, formation of BAPS, which is the Vachasanwazi Shri Akshar Purushottam. Wow. Swamin Aryan Sansa, a major sect in the Swaminarayan Sampradaya by Shastrif Maharaja. Yeah, Maharaj. There you go. 1908, the Caliphatul Masih was established in the Al-Marhadiya Muslim community as the second manifestation of God's power. In 1913, the Moorish Science Temple of America is founded in Newark, New Jersey. 1917, the October Revolution in Russia led to the annexation of all church properties and subsequent religious suppression. 1920, the Self-Realization Fellowship Church of All Religions, with its headquarters in LA, was founded by Param Ahansa Yogananda. 1922 to 1991, and 1922 is 101 years ago. Persecution of the Christians in the Soviet Union. The total number of Christian victims under the Soviet regime has been estimated to range around 12 to 20 million. Persecution. Just think about that. 1926, Cao Dai founded. 1929, the Cristero War, fought between secular government and religious Christian rebels in Mexico, ended. 1930, the Rastafari movement began following the coronation of Haile Selassie I, I suppose, as Emperor of Ethiopia. 1930, after previously failing to claim the leadership of the Moorish Science Temple in America, Wallace Fard Muhammad creates the Nation of Islam in Detroit. Michigan. 1932, a Neo-Hindu religious movement, the Brahma Kumaris, or Daughters of Brahma, started. Its origin can be traced to the group Om Mandali, founded by Lekhraj Kripalani, and that was from 1884 to 1969. 1931, Jehovah's Witnesses emerged from the Bible student movement under the influence of Joseph Franklin Rutherford. 1939 to 1945, millions of Jews were relocated and murdered by the Nazis during the Holocaust. 1947, Pakistan, the first nation state in the name of Islam, was created. British India was partitioned into the secular nation of India with a Hindu majority and the Muslim majority nation of Pakistan, the eastern half of whom would later become Bangladesh. And Bangladesh is the pot people. Bang is pot. So the pot people, and then I think during the war, all of that was burnt with napalm. 1948, the modern state of Israel was established as a homeland for the Jews. 1954, the Church of Scientology was founded by L. Ron Hubbard. 1954, Wicca was publicized by Gerald Gardner. 1956, Navayana Buddhism, Neo-Buddhism, was founded by B.R. Ambedkar, initially attracting some 380,000 Dalit converts from Hinduism. 1959, the fourth Dalai Lama fled Tibet amidst unrest and established an exile community in India. 1960s, various neo-pagan and New Age movements gained momentum. 1961, Unitarian Universalism was formed from the merger of Unitarianism and Universalism. Wow, they just joined the two names together. Didn't rename it or rebrand it, but just joined them together in both the title and the rule. 1962, the Church of All Worlds, the first American neo-pagan church, was formed by a group including Oberon Zell Ravenheart, Morning Glory Zell Ravenheart, and Richard Lance Christie. 1962 to 1965, the Second Vatican Council was convened. 1965, Srila Prabhupada established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and introduced translations of the Bhagavad Gita and Vedic scriptures in mass production all over the world. 1966, the Church of Satan was founded by Antov LaVey on Walpurgisnacht. Looks like a German word. 1972 to 1984, the Stonehenge Free Festival started. 1972 to 2004, Germanic Neo-Paganism, aka Heathenism, Heathenry, Astru, Odinism, Foreign Seor or Vorseord, and Theodism began to experience a second wave of revival. In 1973, Claude Viron established the Raelian movement and changed his name to Rael, following a purported extraterrestrial encounter in 1973 in December. I can't reach my buds. Right, okay. Drink some tea. There we go. In 1975, the Temple of Set was founded in Santa Barbara, California. 1979, the Iranian Revolution resulted in the establishment of Islamic Republic in Iran. 1981, the Stegherian revival continued. The Book of the Holy Striga and The Book of Ways, Volumes 1 and 2, were published. 1984, Operation Blue Star in the holiest site of the Sikhs, the Golden Temple in Amritsar, led to the anti-Sikh riots in Delhi and adjoining religions following the assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. 1985, the Battle of Beanfield forced an end to the Stonehenge Free Festivals. 1989, following the revolution of 1989, the overthrow of many Soviet-style states allowed a resurgence in open religious practice in many Eastern European countries. 1990s, Reconstructionist pagan movements, the Celtic, the Hellenic, the Roman, Slavic, Baltic, Finnish, etc., proliferate throughout Europe. 1993, the European Council convened in Copenhagen, Denmark, agreed to the Copenhagen criteria requiring religious freedom within all members and prospective members of the European Union. 1993 again, the World Union of Deists, I think it's Deists, is founded in the USA. 1995, the first traditional Hindu mandir outside of India created in London in Pramukh Swami Maharaj, 1921 to 2016, Guru of Baps. 1998, the Striga Arakan tradition was founded. Now, in the 21st century, 2002, the Joy of Satan Ministries was founded by Andrea Dietrich, following her conception of the ideology of spiritual Satanism. 2006, sectarian rivalries exploded in Iraq between Sunni Muslims and Shias, with each side targeting the other in terrorist acts and bombings of mosques and shrines. 2008, Nepal, the world's only Hindu kingdom, was declared a secular state by its Constituent Assembly after declaring the state a republic on the 28th of May 2008. 2009, the Church of Scientology in France was fined 600,000 euros, and several of its leaders were fined and imprisoned for defrauding new recruits of their savings. The state failed to disband the church owing to legal changes occurring over the same time period. 2011, a civil war broke out in Syria over domestic political issues. The country soon split along with sectarian lines between Sunni Muslims, Alawite and Shiites. War crimes and acts of genocide were committed by both parties as religious leaders on each side condemned the other as heretics. The Syrian civil war soon became a battleground for regional sectarian unrest as fighters joined the fight from as far away as North America and Europe, as well as Iran and the Arab states. 2013, the Satanic Temple was founded by Lucian Greaves and Malcolm Jari, pseudonyms. A supposed Islamic caliphate was established 2014 by the self-proclaimed Islamic State in regions of war-torn Syria and Iraq, drawing global support from radical Sunni Muslims. This was a modern-day attempt to re-establish Islamic self-rule in accordance with strict adherence to Sharia Islamic religion's laws. In the wake of the Syrian civil war, Islamic extremists targeted the indigenous Arab Christian communities in acts of genocide. Numerous ancient Christian and Yazidi communities were evicted and threatened with death by various Muslim Sunni fighter groups. After ISIS terrorist forces infiltrated and took over large parts of northern Iraq from Syria, many ancient Christian and Yazidi enclaves were destroyed. Goodness me. I'm going to stop it there. That's a lot. So 5, 6, 6. Oh, my stupid machine. All right. So that concludes the timeline. And from here on in, we'll be talking, as Meki and I, in the next show, we'll be taking turns to describe each of these religions that we've mentioned in the timeline. And what, possibly their origin, what they believe. Yes, absolutely, this is what we're going to do. So it's totally, for us, it's totally interesting. It is one of those things, though, and the show notes, for instance, will be on our website. And this is a culmination of information from all around the world that shines the light on the origin of each of these. And if you look at some of these religions, were only made in the last 100 years. Like that's a crazy claim. Can you imagine if I came up with a brand new religion and said, I had contacts with aliens and here's a new religion. I am your leader, and all the other religions are wrong. Well, that's actually kind of what all the other religions believe, is that all of the other ones are wrong. And they do that with impunity, because who can prove any of it? No one. There isn't any proof. So there's no reason why you couldn't just start up another one, and as long as someone believes it, it's a thing. It annoys me that is the case. Meki and I have joked about and just spoken about the origin of these religions. And there's so much disagreement in it all. What is it? What is in it for the people who make these religions? It has to be that there is a lot of money at the top of these pyramid schemes, where the more people you have below you, the wealthier you get for telling them how to live their lives and just having a set of rules. I thought the rules in society were pretty clear, but despite those laws being in society, there are some religious laws, and there's certainly some religions that believe its laws over the societal laws, or the laws of the state in which you live, that they take effect, that they override them, that they are the laws to live by. And if you were to do something, that you could be persecuted by their law structure rather than the state law. And in some cases, only some of those laws are so extreme that would exonerate anyone who participated in cutting someone's hand off or foot off, or killing somebody because they broke the religious law. And I would prefer, in every case, to be treated by the state. But I wouldn't like to be in Turkey and have to end up in a Turkish prison, or that in Indonesia. No, I wouldn't even want to go to our own prison and our own state. I'm just really not sure that would be a thing that I would want to do, and that it really annoys me. It annoys me that there are religions that believe they're above the state, because they're assigned by God, so they must be true and they must be right, and the state laws are below us. Does that make sense? Oh, I hope it does, because it's terribly annoying for me that and when I have that discussion with people, that there's just draw a straight line and put all the religions on it, and not one single one believes that the other ones are right. Just let that sink in. So I did have a discussion with one of my friends about that, he practices one of the religions. It doesn't really matter which one. And I said, don't listen to what I say. Don't listen to a word I say. Don't analyze your own religion, because if you believe it, then I'm not criticizing you at all. I don't criticize your religion. I don't criticize your belief in it. I don't criticize the authenticity of it, and I'm not questioning it. It's fine. It's completely fine. But I said, from my perspective, when I look at all the religions and on this line, and since none of them share any of the beliefs of any others, yeah, there's some commonalities between them. But if you ask a Protestant and a Catholic which religion, if I ask the Protestant, they'll say theirs is the only one. If I ask the Catholics, they'll say theirs is the only one. And if Christianity on its own, which isn't either of those two, then they'll say they're the only ones, even though they're pretty much just the same, a different color of putty, right? You can mush them together. But one is on the strict wording of every single phrase, even though it's been translated. And if you've ever translated a song in just the song lyrics inside of Google Translate into any language and back again, or into any language and then do a circle back to the original language, all of the original meaning is lost. Yeah, there's words there, and yes, they mean something, but they don't have the original meaning. And the best example is to use, and I've actually lost my original translation of this, right? So just bear with me. I'm just going to go to Google Translate, and I'm going to just do English. So I'm just going to write the phrase. Now my machine's, it's just dying. I don't like it. So if you use Google Translate and you say, born in a dead man's town, translate it in any language, well, I don't really care what languages, and then transfer it back again into English, it won't mean the same thing, because the context of the phrase born in a dead man's town means not that the town was full of dead people, which was what the translation will do. Well, it's come up, so hang on. So I'm just going to put it into French, right? Born in a dead man's town. Yep. And that ends up is ne dans la ville d'un homme mort. And I'll take that and I'll swap it back. I'll make it go into Russian. And then I'll copy that. And then I'll do Russian to English. Born in the city of the dead. Now, born in a dead man's town means you're born into a town where there's nothing for you. That's what it means. It means you won't find a life there. There's people living there and there's goings on, but it isn't the town for you, right? When you need to find your place in there, you won't find it there. It'll be somewhere else. But going from English to French to Russian to English, it's born in the city of the dead. So if you've got a religious text which has been translated through 7 languages, which is what the Bible has been through, then the contextual changes of the language and the phrases that meant something to the author when it was first authored, because it's not the words and how they're said, there's the context around of what that means as a phrase, is completely lost, completely useless, and it's of no purpose. It serves no purpose to actually have that phrase in there after those translations. So born in the city of the dead has no relevance to someone reading it today, because it isn't. And now that's a song lyric, sure, but it's equivalent to any passages from the Bible that we currently have. And that annoys everybody who uses it word for word. And they go, oh, no, but the meaning, see? The meaning is this. And you go, but I can find an opposite meaning that counters that. Oh, that's just there for us to think about it. No, it's not. It's there because of really bad translation. Anyway, guess what? That is the end of episode 565, second hour. Coming up next, hopefully, is Jer Bear and he's all better and well. His internet's up and running and everything's fantastic. And we'll capture you on Tuesday morning and Thursday morning for Plato's Cave with Dave and Mecky. So take care, everyone, and have a great week.